again, and welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show showcases emerging indie authors who join us for a discussion of their newly published books. Join us for a conversation with our next guest author. Thank you for being here. My name is Emma, one of the hosts for the show. Today I have a special guest with me. I am joined by Oren Klabor, author Deena Karabell's closest friend. Deena passed away in May 2024, leaving behind a treasure trove of poetry and music and her beautiful book, a children's book for grown-ups of all ages. Oren, together with Deena's friends, were so moved by the book that they brought it to publication. And the book is intended to be shared as a gift to others or a gift to oneself. Hi, Oren. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, thanks for inviting me to speak.
Yeah, thank you so much. First, I just want to say I'm very sorry for your loss. Deena, wrote a book, and you guys, her closest friends, got together and wanted to honor her by creating this book, and I think it's great.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit about Deena's book?
I can. It is a poem that she wrote. And it was a long poem, and so she was talking to one of her art collaborators, Elif Elif, and they started talking about it, sharing the poetry together, and then the next thing I knew, they were starting to collaborate on putting the poem to the illustrations, and it went from there. It just flowed. And I was, as her friend, as Deena's friend, I was really just kind of hanging around, watching these two women create this beautiful book. Mm-hmm. They were doing it over a period of, at least 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. It was really a labor of love between them. Mm-hmm. And I just loved the book so much. Mm-hmm. So and then at some point, many years later, Deena was able to put the book up as a small format book onto Amazon, and then she passed, and then Deena passed. So that's when I kind of stepped in and said, I've always wanted this book to be in its full kind of hardcover glory. Yeah. So now it'll be available in an 8.5 by 8.5 square, format, with beautiful glossy paper and a beautiful hardcover, and I'm very excited to bring it to market.
Yeah, yeah. And so a little bit about the poetry or book. The book is about birds observing humans to tell a deeper story. What do you think inspired Deena to explore, like that sort of like human nature through their perspective?
Well, Deena was always very very interested in the inner world, in the world of feelings. And she, talked about feelings from a universal perspective, that this is something that we all are connected by and that we all experience. And that there's this, she wanted to find a way to kind of cut through a lot of the noise and the intellectualization around it to just kind of find a very simple, straightforward way to talk about the human experience from this universal perspective. From that perspective, it's very moving, and it's totally apolitical. It's just cutting through everything, and these two little birds are observing humans doing what they do day in and day out.
Yeah, yeah. And so why do you think that this message is so important? And was that the reason that you and Deena's circle ultimately wanted to get this book into the hands of people that could benefit from the message?
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly we are in a time of great emotional strife from a global perspective, for sure. But that seems to be a universal over time immemorial, and that there's just there's this need to reach out to people and to just go, hey, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
We're all experiencing very similar. We have a universal, pool of feelings that we're all experiencing one way or another,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that it's nice to step back and just kind of reflect on that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
in a beautiful book that's simple. Anyone could read it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not a book you like sit down and read because it'll take about 2 or 3 minutes to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book you will sit down and you can just pore over these beautiful illustrations and meditate on, one, kind of one little, page or two after another. And you
Mm-hmm.
probably sit with it for hours because I certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what makes this book so special? Because it definitely has like a very gentle, almost like philosophical tone to the story. So how do you think that Dina really balanced the tone or the way she went about the book as far as like whimsy with with deeper life questions? And how do you think she did that?
Um, I think it was really through the illustrations. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because the poem itself is very simple,
Mm-hmm.
but working with Elif, the illustrator, who
Mm-hmm.
just brought this experience to life in a way that's very evocative and very appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how you balance it, and it never gets really too deep,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
but it gets deep enough where you go, oh yeah, like she's taking us somewhere, right? Where we
Yeah.
have to like reflect a little bit and go,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think
Hmm.
I've done that, or yeah, oh, I do that, or yeah, and it's a very wonderful way to be a little bit meditative and
Yeah.
self-reflective.
And so were the illustrations, were they done before or after Dina's passing? Because I know you mentioned that she
Oh, they
put,
were done all before. This was
oh,
all done
before.
all
Okay.
before. Yeah,
Okay. So
the
she worked with
book.
the illustrator and
Oh,
everything.
she worked with the illustrator for years. So,
Okay.
and they were working on other projects together, but this
Okay.
was this was one that really just kind of jumped out as being the most accessible, the most broadly commercial from that perspective, in that it's something that so many people can actually get behind and
Yeah.
get away, and it's just simple. It's like almost like if you have a friend who's going through a hard time, you want to give them a little
Hmm.
book like this to like help them through the time. It's that
Yeah.
kind of a gift, right? If
Hmm.
they're experiencing loss, or if they're experiencing a breakup, or if they're whatever's going on emotionally that's like hard. This is a
Yeah.
lovely kind of gesture, almost
Hmm.
almost like a 125 page, get
Yeah.
get well soon card or something. It's that kind of a feeling to it.
And was Dina always like that? Was she always like very introspective and,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
ha had the intent of the book to invite readers to slow down and reflect? That was just like her
That was,
perspective.
yeah. So Dina was a child prodigy pianist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So really, her first language was music, and she would
Hmm.
always and so as the readers, if the readers are interested, they can go on to Spotify or Apple Music or all the different streaming services. And we over the last 10 years before she passed, we put out, I don't know, 10 or 12 albums that she recorded in her home,
Oh, wow.
and they're very different. Some of them are electronic music, but a lot of them are her just sitting down. She would sit down every day and just music would pour out of her. It was
Hmm.
that she was just such a special person, and so for her, music and feelings were all just an extension and a part of the whole.
Yeah.
And she loved just exploring and helping people through their own feeling, journeys for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, what do you hope readers, really feel when they see themselves, through the eyes of these birds? And what did you feel like when you read it for the first time, the poem?
Um, I just felt like I was just brought into a beautiful world.
Mm.
It's a beautiful place where I could just breathe.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that,
refreshing.
yes, it's easy.
Hmm.
This is not, as I said, it's not something you read.
Yeah.
It's not for your novel readers or whatever.
Yeah.
This is for the folks who want to just, have something to put on their coffee table and
Yeah.
dip into and, reflect on, or, that kind of a book.
So this is a book that you can return to time and time again if
Oh
you
yeah,
just need a little.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Those books are great to have for sure. And so this book can be described as, for people listening, it can be described as a children's book for grown-ups, but also not a children's book at all. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
not. I mean, look, you could definitely give it to your 10-year-old or your
Hmm.
even maybe your 9-year-old, but I think younger than that, probably not, because the concepts are a little bit more adult. This is an adult thing,
Hmm.
but beyond that, sure, at any age, it's really she created it for really any age after that.
And so she was very musically inclined, you said. Had she um, always enjoyed writing, do you know, or has this been her first book, or you mentioned
Oh,
she liked poetry?
she was a pianist, right? But she was also this brilliant writer, brilliant.
Hmm.
And she's written several books, several poetry books that we've also put up. And actually, we're just about to put up another one up on.
Oh, nice.
So yes, she was just loved words, and she loved the playing with words, and
Hmm.
so absolutely, writing was a big part of her life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And when did you meet Dina, and how did you
How did
guys
I meet
become
her?
friends?
All right. So in 1987, I was producing an instructional video. So I had known Dina for many, many years.
Hmm.
And I was the producer, and I was producing this video on fitness walking. And at the time, she and her husband to be were promoting fitness walking, and were kind of writing a book on fitness walking called Walk for Life, I think it is. And so I produced this video and got to know her, and we became great friends.
Hmm.
And then the rest is history. I mean,
Yeah.
we were
Like,
friends, very, very close friends for many, many years.
hmm. And so how did it go about you and your friends and Dina's closest friends really wanting to get this like published, like the hardcore or hardcover book that you mentioned, glossy, like what conversation, how did that conversation start about actually getting it published by a self-publisher?
Well, she had looked into it before she passed. So
Hmm.
I knew she had some interest in that. And
Yeah.
and then when she passed, I received the rights to her work with her two grandsons, who are
Oh,
who are a little younger. So the three of us have the rights to all of her creative expression,
yeah.
includes her
Hmm.
music and her poetry and everything. But the one book that she had written that, by this is by far the most universally accessible, and most, I think, the most I want to say commercial, but it's just the most available to people, is this book. Because I
Yeah.
think if people would buy this book, and then go, oh, who's this Deena Karabell? Then they could go to her website and check out her music and check out some of her other poetry, and be introduced to this woman who, in my experience, was just a creative genius. She was just
Hmm.
wonderful. And
Yeah.
a lot of what she did had to do with feelings,
Hmm.
and mortality, and life and relationships, and she
Yeah.
had this very broad palette of expression, which I loved and
Yeah.
love today. And in her lifetime, she never really made it big, right? She
Hmm.
never became this superstar, but she had superstar qualities
Mm.
that I've always, like, really loved and admired.
Hmm.
So and literally on her deathbed, Emma,
Oh my goodness.
I said, I said, Deena, don't worry, we're gonna keep putting your work out. So
Oh, that's amazing.
pretty amazing.
Oh, that is really.
It really
And oh my gosh. And so the book also can be described as like a meditative remedy for
Nice.
today's, like we talked about,
Yeah.
today's very fast-paced world. Why do you think people are craving, that sense of calm right now and probably need
Emma,
it?
Emma, please, what day is today? I mean, the world is inflamed,
Yeah,
so agitated. The world is so agitated right now. So anything that we can put out there that is calming and is supportive and is, an expression of love and,
yeah,
appreciation, I mean, that's a good thing. In my book,
yeah,
that's a good thing to put out in this world.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
excited to put that
I
out on
I
her.
know, yeah, we need calm, we need
We
love, we
need
need we need all the
exactly
things.
all of like, we need that. So
Yeah.
this is a great book for that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so this book can be comparable to The Little Prince, and
Exactly.
it's simplicity and depth. Why do you think simple storytelling can sometimes deliver the most profound truths, or a simple poem in this sense?
It just I think it's very easy to get lost in the intellectual, world, right? It's
Yeah.
just very easy to get lost in thinking and thinking about this and thinking about, and this is not about thinking. This is about experiencing, beautiful images and simple words and
Yeah.
simple message and feeling that experience. It's not about
Hmm.
thinking. So like help people get out of the thinking and into their bodies and into this experience.
Hmm.
And I think, in this case, the book can help do that. Just kind of sit with it.
Yeah. And so, do you know like when Dina started or when she wrote the poem and how long it took her to finish that process of getting it like published or on Amazon or?
Well, I think that the poem was written probably in the mid to like like somewhere between 2000 and 2010. I can't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
Somewhere
Okay.
and then they started the applying the poem to the book, to the illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that was probably 2004, 5 through 7, 8, 9, 10. Those years.
Okay.
Those years.
Okay.
And just to give you an example, I mean, we would go, me and my friend, me and Tammy and Dina, the three of us would drive out to Hoboken. I'm a New York guy. We drive across,
Love Hoboken.
we'd drive across the bridge, and we'd stay with Elif and her husband, and we'd hang out on Saturday afternoons where Dina and Elif would just work, and we would. They would work, we would hang out, watch TV and movies or whatever, but they were just at it, all like working. They had this incredible, collaboration between the two. It
Hmm.
was great, and it was exciting to see. And
Yeah.
then this book started emerging from some of that collaboration, and it was just wow. It was so beautiful, so
Yeah.
so.
And how did she get in touch with her illustrator?
It was very early on. At the time, Dina was working on putting some of her sayings, just simple sayings, to art,
Hmm.
and looking for a web designer or what have you. And she was introduced to Elif through that experience, and then this great collaboration started to emerge. And they worked
Hmm.
together for many, many years. Many.
Okay.
In fact, her Dina's website today, the images and the website itself was created by Elif, many years later. So
Okay.
before
Okay.
so they had a long standing relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what has been the feedback or reviews that you have seen come from this book?
It's still very early stages.
Hmm.
Dina put it out on Amazon as a smaller format, right? And
Hmm.
the reality is there are a zillion books on Amazon. It's very, as you know,
Yeah.
there's so much out there. So everyone who sees it, they love it. I mean, it's kind of universally loved, but
Yeah.
but but my job now and our job really is to get the word out and introduce this book to people, especially in its larger format. Because
Hmm.
I think in this hardcover glossy format, people are going to be able to really experience the words in the illustration
Hmm.
much more vivid and exciting way. So
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
early on the review side.
Yeah. And what has Dina's family and, other friends thought about, the book being published?
Oh, they love it. They're excited for
Yeah.
everyone's excited for everyone. The whole circle. They've all loved this book for a long time too. So yeah, we're all excited about that.
Yeah. And what was the self-publishing process like? How long did it actually take for the book to get, in your hands?
It's been a long process. It's taken about long. It's all relative, right? It's taken
Yeah.
about a year and a half to get
Okay.
um, because there's the initial work, and then there's the work that we needed to do in order to reformat it slightly for this square 8.5 by 8.5
Yeah.
structure
Right.
versus a more standard structure. So it took some work and some ups and downs, but we're here. It's exciting.
What do you think Dina would think about this whole thing and her book, coming to life in this type of format?
I think she would love it.
Yeah.
She always wanted this. She had looked into self-publishing it at this level, but
Did she really?
yeah, she was. The thing about Dina was that she was always creating, right? She is a creative genius. So creative geniuses are always creating new things. She was always writing new stuff, always like doing new music. Just it was kind of
Yeah.
pouring through her, right? So the process of doing something like this, which is going through the process of taking this book and putting it through Archway and all of
Yeah.
that was not something she was okay with that kind of stuff, but she didn't like doing that. She just liked
Yeah.
creating.
She like doing
Yes,
the writing.
yes,
Yeah, I feel like once an author or a writer gets past the writing part, they're like, "Oh my gosh, the other stuff is like all like
yeah.
very challenging because you have to."
And she was
Yeah.
really look. She was very grounded, very methodical, and unlike a lot of artists who are just
Yeah.
super flighty, she was not. She was really,
Yeah.
really
Oh.
good at a lot of this kind of stuff. But she her big collaborator, producer, her music producer, would just say, there's just more material than we know what to do with. There's just so much creative material here. What are we going to do? You'll see if when you I don't know if you I'll send you the link to her music and you can
Yes,
listen in a little
please.
bit. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it would pour out of her every day. And so
Hmm.
we only started recording her in like maybe the last 10 years of her life, but for the first I knew her for 37 years. Yeah, she would just sit down at the piano and just this gorgeous music would come pouring out of her. And it was not, like practiced music. It was
Yeah.
her musical expression. I mean,
Hmm.
it was extraordinary.
Oh. And do you have any other of her collections that you guys are working on publishing or just getting out there, would you
Well,
say? Or
look, we did just put out a book of a volume one of her poetry. I'm putting out another volume of her poetry. There's not, 50 poems. These are, I don't know, 20 poems or something. But they're
Mhm.
great. So,
Well, that's a lot.
yeah, I mean, I'm telling you,
Just
she,
20, it's fine.
no, I mean, Dina was just constantly coming up with great stuff.
Oh,
So yeah, I think what I'd like to do, I mean, depending on the success of this book, I could absolutely see putting out a hardcover of her poetry because her
hmm.
poetry is great, you know. So I could
Yeah.
absolutely see doing that. And
Awesome.
the other thing we're working on is she had developed she had just a lot of kind of pithy sayings, wise, smart, incredible sayings. And so
Really?
those we're putting those together into decks of cards,
Oh, that's a good idea.
cards with images. So that's the next thing that we're working on.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's cool.
like
Nice.
inspiration cards, we call them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
that's down the line. This is
Yeah.
one, and then
Was that your idea?
Well, no, it was another one of her friends came up with the idea. She had, for many years, Dina had put her sayings with images on kind of business cards, thinking
Yeah.
that there might be a way to monetize or to sell them or whatever. But then another friend said, "Hey, there's this new trend that in the bookstores of inspiration cards, and
Yeah. Decks.
Dina's work would lend itself very well to that."
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today and, honoring Dina and her story. I think it's great and, I appreciate you, putting in such time and effort into her project and believing in her and I thank you so much for being here today and discussing it with me and, honoring Dina's legacy.
Thank you
Yeah.
for helping me get the word out because I'm
Yeah, of course.
excited
Yeah.
to share this book.
Yeah. And you mentioned a website. Can listeners get that
Sure.
website too?
DNAconnects.com.
Okay.
So DNAconnects.com. And you get the play on words there. So her name is Dina,
Mm-hmm.
ENA, and she always thought of herself from the perspective of DNA, and the connection of of her name and the connection of DNA
Uh-huh.
and even
I
in
love
even
that.
in the cover of her book, she calls herself D.NA, aka
Mm-hmm.
Deena Karabell. So she's been playing around with the whole DNA, kind of theme for many years.
Yeah, I love that. That's her like author pen name too for the book, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Oren, for being here today. I appreciate your time
Thanks,
and
Emma.
yeah, of course. And if you're listening and you would like to purchase Dina's book, then you can head to archwaypublishing.com and find it through there. It's also available on Amazon and Barnes& and Noble. And thank you so much for listening and being here, and I'll see you next time.